All right, ready to dive into the world of production supervisors.
Let's do it. I've been digging into this career path, and let me tell you, there's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah,
A deep dive. And we've got a ton of info from RoleCatcher to help us out. It's like a one-stop shop for anyone thinking about a career change, even AI resume stuff.
seriously, that AI stuff is wild, but we can tackle that another time. Today, it's all about their insights on what it takes to be a production supervisor.
Okay, so forget the fancy title for a second. In reality, what does a production supervisor actually do all day?
Imagine this. You're conducting an orchestra, right? Making sure every instrument is in sync, hitting the right notes at the right time to create this amazing symphony. That's the production supervisor. But instead of musical notes.
You've got deadlines, safety regulations, quality control. Talk about high stakes.
Exactly. It's high pressure for sure. You need to be thinking strategically, solving problems before they even become problems.
So it's more than just managing people on a factory floor.
Oh, way more. It's managing systems, processes. Think collaborating with sales, marketing, even finance. Everyone has a stake in how smoothly production's running.
No wonder RoleCatcher lists high level of responsibility as a major perk of the job. But they also mention long hours, high stress, give and take, I guess.
Definitely a trade-off. It's not your typical 9 to 5. When those deadlines are looming, unexpected problems pop up, the stress can definitely ramp up.
Speaking of problems, how does a production supervisor handle conflict? It's not exactly a Zen garden on the factory floor.
That's where those so-called soft skills are non-negotiable. Active listening, being able to read people, and crystal clear communication, those are essential for navigating the human side of this job.
Makes sense. You're dealing with people under pressure, deadlines. Things could get a little heated.
You're not just there to bark orders. A good production supervisor motivates their team, creates an environment where people can actually thrive. It's about finding that balance between authority and empathy.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal here.
Uh-huh.
Demanding, yeah, but there's room for leadership, even creativity in how you solve problems. So how does someone even become a production supervisor? Is there like a specific degree everyone needs?
RoleCatcher actually gives a really interesting breakdown of common paths.
This is where it gets juicy.
They say often a high school diploma is the minimum, but honestly, a lot of employers are looking for at least an associate's degree, maybe even a bachelor's.
So we're talking industrial engineering, manufacturing, that sort of thing.
Yep, those are definitely up there, but even a business administration background can be valuable, even operations management, supply chain.
So it's not just the technical know-how. It's about seeing that big picture, how it all connects.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about real-world experience.
Right. You don't just waltz out of the classroom and into the supervisor's office. So you've got the education, maybe some experience under your belt. What's that career trajectory actually look like? Where do you even begin?
Well, according to RoleCatcher, most people start their journey as a production assistant.
Production assistant, got it. Sounds like a foot in the door, but what are you actually doing day to day? Grabbing coffee for the real supervisors.
No, not quite. Think of it as the support system for the supervisors. You're reviewing schedules, making sure everyone's following safety protocols, even keeping an eye out for equipment malfunctions. You're right in the thick of it.
So very hands-on, a real learning experience then.
Absolutely. You're gaining that ground-up understanding of how everything works, which is invaluable for moving up.
Makes sense. You got to learn the ropes before you can start calling the shots.
Yeah.
So once you've mastered the art of being a production assistant, what comes next?
That's when you step into a more supervisory role as a junior production supervisor. Time to put all that experience and knowledge to the test.
All right, junior supervisor, what's on the agenda for today?
Well, you'll be coordinating and planning those manufacturing processes yourself. You're reviewing those production schedules and making sure those orders are completed on time and within budget.
No pressure.
And of course, you'll be directing and supervising a team of production staff to meet those all-important productivity goals.
So you're not just responsible for the process anymore, you're responsible for the people. That's a whole other level of responsibility.
It is. You'll be training new hires, mentoring your team, even conducting performance evaluations and providing feedback. It's a big step up in terms of leadership.
And a whole other set of challenges, I imagine, but also a lot of opportunities for growth, right?
Right.
What does RoleCatcher say about that? What should a junior supervisor focus on to keep moving up that ladder?
They highlight the importance of identifying areas for process improvement. They emphasize that even at this stage, you're not just following orders. You're encouraged to think critically and find ways to make things run smoother, more efficiently.
So a bit of an innovator, even at that level.
I like it.
Definitely. They also emphasize the importance of collaboration, working with other departments to figure out how to optimize production and efficiency. Remember, it's not just about your team, it's about the entire organization working together to achieve that common goal.
It's all starting to come together now. You start from the ground up, learning the ropes, proving your skills. Then you take on more responsibility, leading a team, and finding ways to improve the entire system.
Precisely. And if you continue to excel, you'll eventually reach the role of, drum roll please, production supervisor.
No more junior this time, huh?
Yeah.
So what does a full-fledged production supervisor's day look like? What sets them apart?
Think of it as taking everything you've learned as a junior supervisor and turning it up a notch. You're still coordinating and directing those manufacturing processes, reviewing schedules, overseeing all the production activities, but now you've got more strategic responsibilities on your plate.
Like what, for example? Give us the inside scoop.
Well, for starters, you're making sure all the resources are being allocated efficiently. You're managing and motivating your team to not just meet, but exceed those production targets.
Always pushing for bigger, better, faster.
Right. Exactly. And you're not just implementing process improvements, you're actively seeking them out, always on the lookout for ways to optimize productivity and boost efficiency.
Sounds like you really have to be on top of your game at this level. What are some of those key skills that are going to set you apart as a truly exceptional production supervisor?
RoleCatcher points to a few key things. First and foremost, strong leadership and communication skills are non-negotiable. We've touched on this a bit already, but it's not about barking orders. It's about inspiring your team, building trust, and creating that positive and productive work environment where everyone can do their best work.
Right, because a happy team's a productive team. What else?
They also highlight the importance of being a problem solver, a decisive decision maker. Things move fast in production, so you need to be able to think on your feet and find solutions quickly, effectively.
Cool under pressure is a must-have in this role.
Yeah.
Now, what about the more technical side of things? How important is it to be tech-savvy in today's world of, well, everything being digital?
It's becoming increasingly important to be comfortable with technology, no doubt. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that production supervisors need to stay current on all the latest industry trends and technological advancements. Now, you don't need to be coding the next big software or anything.
But being comfortable with production management software, being open to embracing those new technologies, that's got to be a major plus.
100%. And as you continue to gain experience, expertise, the next rung on the ladder is, drumroll, senior production supervisor.
Ah, we've reached the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So paint me a picture. What does success look like at this level?
This is where you transition from being a manager to being a true leader in the field. You're not just overseeing a single production line anymore. You might be responsible for multiple lines, multiple facilities even.
Talk about a big picture view.
You're thinking strategically, long term, developing those big picture production plans and goals, working directly with senior management to shape the company's overall production strategies.
This is where those business administration skills probably come in handy, huh?
You bet. You're analyzing data, evaluating and implementing new technologies and processes, constantly looking for those little edges, those improvements in efficiency, ways to boost cost effectiveness even further.
And I'm guessing mentoring those up-and-coming junior supervisors is part of the job description now too, right? Passing the torch, so to speak.
Without a doubt, you're sharing your knowledge, your experience, helping to develop the next generation of production leaders, and making sure the company continues to thrive for years to come.
Wow, so from production assistant all the way up to senior supervisor, it's a career path packed with challenges, opportunities for growth, and constant learning. It sounds like a really fascinating field for anyone with that drive and that commitment to succeed.
It definitely is. And speaking of succeeding, RoleCatcher also had some really interesting insights into how to ace those all-important job interviews. Because you could have all the skills and experience in the world.
But if you can't wow them in that interview room, game over. So let's talk about interview prep. What are some of the questions a budding production supervisor should be ready to knock out of the park?
They actually list 9 sample interview questions. And trust me, these aren't your typical tell me about your strengths and weaknesses kind of questions. These are designed to really see how you think on your feet, how you handle pressure, and whether you've got what it takes to excel in this kind of demanding role. Yeah, these questions are like, they're trying to get a feel for what you're really made of, you know?
Okay, so no more stalling. Give me that first question. What curveball are they throwing at our aspiring production supervisors?
First one's all about prioritization. The question is, how do you prioritize production schedules when everything feels important?
So right away, they're testing your ability to juggle those deadlines, the demands, all that.
Exactly. And like we said, it's fast-paced. Things are always changing. A good production supervisor can look at everything, figure out the priorities, and keep things running smoothly, even when it feels like everything's on fire.
I'm imagining a color-coded calendar, to-do lists.
Organization is key. But it's more than that, right? Which leads us to question number 2. This one's about those people skills. How do you handle conflicts between team members?
Ah, the people management aspect. Can't avoid that in a field, but especially in a production environment.
For sure. This question is all about how you handle conflict. Are you avoiding it, hoping it'll magically disappear, or are you ready to step in, mediate, find a solution that works for everyone? A good production supervisor, they're not just creating a productive environment, they're creating a harmonious one too.
No sweeping problems under the rug in this role.
Nope. And that actually segues perfectly into question number 3, which is, what experience do you have with lean manufacturing principles?
Okay, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. For those of us who don't speak manufacturing fluently, what exactly is lean manufacturing, and why is it such a big deal for a production supervisor?
So in a nutshell, lean manufacturing is all about doing more with less. It's about maximizing efficiency, minimizing waste, streamlining processes, eliminating unnecessary steps, just making everything as lean and mean as possible.
Work smarter, not harder. I like the sound of that.
Right. And it's not just some passing fad, it's become the industry standard. Employers want to know you understand these principles and, even more importantly, that you've actually put them into practice.
So if you see Kanban or Kaizen on a job description and your mind goes blank, time to hit the books. Okay, what's next in the hot seat? Give me question number 4.
Question 4 is all about safety. How do you ensure compliance with safety regulations in the production environment?
Okay, huge one. Especially with the machinery, potential hazards, can't mess around with safety.
Absolutely. And this goes beyond just, knowing the rules and regulations. It's about demonstrating a real commitment to creating a culture of safety, making sure your team is properly trained, and that everyone goes home safe and sound every single day.
Because a safe workplace is a productive workplace. No one's making deadlines if they're worried about getting hurt. Okay, hit me with question number 5.
All right, this one shifts gears a bit. It goes from the production floor to the budgeting meeting. How do you manage production costs and budgets?
The money side of things. I bet this one's especially important as you climb those ranks.
You got it. When you're in a leadership role, you're not just responsible for the production itself, but for the financial health of those processes too.
Finding ways to cut costs, allocate resources effectively.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of those budgets, making sure that every step of the production process is financially sound.
Efficiency isn't just about time, it's about money too. Good to keep in mind. All right, what's next?
Back to those deadlines we go. Question 6 is, how do you ensure that production targets are met within given timelines?
That's the million-dollar question right there. I'd say that's a pretty crucial skill for this role.
It's a make or break skill for sure. This question is all about your ability to plan, anticipate those bottlenecks before they even happen, and keep everyone on track on schedule.
Strategic thinking, problem solving, good old-fashioned time management. Sounds like it takes a lot.
It does, and let's not forget communication. Keeping everyone in the loop, addressing problems as they crop up, making sure everyone's working together towards that common goal.
Because a missed deadline doesn't just affect the production supervisor, it affects the whole team, sometimes even the whole company, right?
Exactly. Okay, moving on to question number 7, we're back to leadership qualities. How do you motivate your team to achieve production targets?
This one feels big picture to me. It's more than just telling people what to do. It's about creating an environment where they're driven to do their best work.
Absolutely. It's about tapping into what motivates people, what makes them tick, and then using that to create that sense of teamwork, that shared purpose. Because, let's be real, a team that feels valued, appreciated, they're going to outperform a team that feels micromanaged and uninspired every time.
Preach. Okay, what's next? What other challenges do they throw at us?
Question number 8 is, how do you ensure that quality standards are met in the production environment?
Quality control. Huge one. Can't be cranking out products if they're not up to snuff.
Absolutely. This question is about more than just catching defects. It's about your attention to detail, your understanding of those quality control processes. It's about whether you can create that culture of excellence where everyone's invested in maintaining those high standards.
So it's not just about hitting those numbers. It's about hitting them with products that meet those quality standards every step of the way.
Exactly. And finally, we've reached the last question on our interview list. How do you manage a team of production workers?
This one feels like a bit of a catch-all, right? Like it's asking you to sum up your whole leadership philosophy, all those skills we've been talking about.
You got it. This is your chance to really articulate your leadership style. Are you a hands-on leader down in the trenches with your team? Or do you prefer to take a step back, delegate, empower your team to take ownership of their work?
No right or wrong answer there, as long as you can back it up. Explain why your style works for you.
And honestly is key here. Don't try to be someone you're not. Be genuine. Let that passion for production shine through. That's what's going to make you stand out from the crowd.
Well said. So we've covered the skills, the experience, even how to handle those tough interview questions. But RoleCatcher also dives into a topic that seems to everywhere these days. Technology, specifically AI.
Yeah, AI is having a moment, isn't it?
It's the buzzword of the century, but it's impacting, well, everything, including the job hunt.
Oh, it really is. It's everywhere you look these days, and the job market is no exception.
So how does AI fit into this whole quest to become a production supervisor? Fill us in.
Well, one of the things RoleCatcher talks about is how AI is being used to tailor resumes, to make them really stand out.
So instead of spending hours agonizing over the perfect font and format, you can hand the reins over to AI and let it work its magic.
Exactly. AI can analyze those job descriptions, pull out those keywords that hiring managers are looking for, even suggest improvements to the content and structure of your resume. It's all about getting you noticed, making sure your resume makes it past those automated screening systems that so many companies are using now.
It's like having your own personal resume writer, but powered by algorithms instead of coffee.
I like that. But it goes beyond resumes, too. AI can also help identify those gaps in your skill set that you might not even realize are holding you back.
Okay, so let's say there's a certain certification that's in high demand for production supervisors, or maybe some specific software knowledge. AI can pinpoint that and steer you towards, like, relevant courses or training programs.
Exactly. Think of it as a personalized career counselor, but without the awkward office visits.
Okay, I have to admit, that's pretty cool. What else can AI do? This is blowing my mind.
Get this, RoleCatcher even talks about AI's potential to get you discovered by employers.
Hold on, back up a second. You're saying that instead of just sending your resume out into the void and hoping for the best, AI can actually play matchmaker, connecting you with companies that are specifically searching for someone with your skills.
That's the idea. It's a pretty new concept, but there are platforms out there using AI to match job seekers with open positions based on skills, experience, even long-term career goals.
So instead of fearing the robot uprising, it sounds like we should be harnessing the power of AI to level up our job hunt.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about working smarter, not harder, right? And that applies just as much to finding the right job as it does to excelling in your career as a production supervisor.
That's the perfect segue. We've covered so much ground today. We talked about the skills and experience needed, explored the career paths, even got into those nitty-gritty interview questions.
And don't forget the AI revolution.
Oh yeah, how can I forget? But before we wrap things up for today, I always like to leave our listeners with something to ponder, maybe spark some further exploration on their own. And since we're talking about how things are changing, like with AI and everything, I think it's fitting to focus on something else RoleCatcher highlighted: diversity. They mentioned that production supervisors often work with very diverse teams. But what does that really look like? And what does it mean for someone considering this career path?
That is such an important point, and it's easy to gloss over a phrase like diverse teams without really grasping what it means on a practical level. We're not just talking about checking boxes, it's about recognizing and valuing the incredible strength that comes from having a team composed of individuals from all different backgrounds.
Exactly. People from different cultural backgrounds, different generations, different educational paths, all coming together to achieve a shared goal. That's powerful.
Absolutely. Imagine having a team member who brings a fresh perspective from a completely different industry. They might spot a potential problem or come up with a creative solution that someone who's been in the field for years might miss entirely. Diversity of thought, diversity of experience, that's where the magic happens.
It's about being open to those different perspectives, those different approaches to problem solving, and realizing that sometimes the best ideas come from the people who challenge the status quo.
Hmm.
But it's not always easy, right? Managing a diverse team, I imagine that presents its own set of challenges for a production supervisor.
Oh, for sure. You need top-notch communication skills to navigate different communication styles, different cultural norms, and it requires a lot of empathy, a lot of emotional intelligence to understand what motivates each individual on your team and create an environment where everyone feels heard, respected, valued for their unique contributions.
So it's not just about understanding the technical side of production, it's about understanding people.
100%. And it's a good reminder that the best leaders are also the best learners, always adapting to the changing world around them.
That's a fantastic note to end on today. So to everyone listening, whether you're just starting your career journey or you're a seasoned pro looking for a change, I hope this deep dive has given you a lot to think about. And hey, maybe even inspired you to consider a future as a production supervisor. Until next time, happy job hunting.